I've always felt there was something sacred about the woods in summer. The scent of sap, the shimmer of leaves, the hum of insects, like a cathedral without walls. Maybe that's why I said yes so fast when Jonah suggested a 3-day camping trip after graduation. It was me, Jonah, Felix, and Reed. 4 lifelong friends ready to toast our last summer of real freedom before college split us apart. Jonah found a spot on an old trail off Highway 12, far from campsites and out of reach of rangers or cell towers. It was perfect, secluded, scenic, and completely off-grid. We packed light but smart, tents, food, beer, and Jonah's dad's massive cooler. Reed brought his drone. Felix packed 2 decks of cards, and I brought a leather-bound journal I'd never had the guts to write in. We left early Friday morning. By 4 p.m., we were pitching our tents under a thick canopy of maple and oak. The forest was quieter than I expected. No distant hum of cars, no faraway chatter of hikers, just the rustle of branches and the occasional snap of a twig beneath our boots. That first night was everything we'd hoped for. We drank by the fire, told stories, and argued about which of us had changed the most since middle school. Reed flew his drone overhead just before sunset and got these surreal aerial shots. Our tiny orange tents glowing like lanterns in a sea of dark green. But around midnight, while everyone else slept, I heard something. A slow, deliberate crunch of leaves. I figured it was a deer or maybe Reed stepping out. But when I peeked outside, there was nothing. Just the fading glow of the fire and the dark outlines of our tents. I brushed it off. The woods are alive. Alive things move. The second day started off lazy. We spent the afternoon swimming in the creek, skipping rocks, and soaking up the sun. But when we got back to camp, something was wrong. Reed's drone was gone. I left it right here, he said, pointing to a flat rock by his tent. We searched everywhere. Nothing. Maybe an animal dragged it. Yeah, a raccoon that knows how to unscrew a carrying case, Felix said. It wasn't just the drone. Jonah's bag had been unzipped, not rifled through or trashed, just opened. Nothing stolen, nothing obviously touched, like someone looked and decided it wasn't what they wanted. The forest felt different. It was the silence, I think. Too complete. Even the cicadas seemed to be holding their breath. We all noticed it, but no one said anything. Not until Reed tried to start a fire and realized the lighter fluid was gone. We definitely brought it, he muttered, searching the cooler again. No way it just vanished, right? Unless Smokey the Bear's ghost wants us to burn. We laughed, but it was empty, forced, the kind of laughter you use to keep fear away. We finally got a fire going. Jonah found some dry moss that caught after a while. We kept the flames low, barely speaking. I'm not sure when I drifted off, but I woke up suddenly to the sound of someone breathing. Not snoring, not talking, just breathing. Heavy, close. I froze. My tent was zipped, but I felt something outside, inches away. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Then it stopped. Reed vanished by morning, gone. We called for him, shouted until our voices cracked. We searched the trail, the creek, the woods in every direction. Nothing. His tent was zipped. His shoes and phone were gone. We should have left, packed up and gone. But we convinced ourselves he'd just wandered off and that we were just overreacting. The second night was pure dread. We took turns keeping watch. I had the 2 a.m. shift. Jonah handed me the flashlight, and I sat there, staring into the trees. Every rustle, every branch creak sent adrenaline surging through me, and then I saw it. Eyes, not animal eyes, not glowing or reflective, just watching. Human. Too far to make out the face, far enough to feel like a nightmare I couldn't wake from. I didn't move, didn't speak, just stared. The eyes disappeared. I didn't wake the others. Jonah's boots were gone. He swore he'd left them inside the tent. Felix and I exchanged a look. This wasn't a prank. It was time to go, time to get out. Jonah agreed. Felix didn't argue. We packed up in silence. That's when we found the journal. Not mine. It was tucked under moss behind Jonah's tent. Old leather, weathered and worn. The pages were damp, stained, but readable. Maybe 10 entries, all from different years. Different handwriting. Different names. Each entry began the same way. We just wanted to escape together. One of us is gone now. It always ended this way. We didn't take the journal. We didn't speak. We just ran. We reached the car by noon and sped away, not stopping until we hit the interstate. We never found Reed, never told anyone what really happened, but sometimes in the dead heat of July, I still dream about those eyes in the woods. Maybe they still remember me too. It all started about a month ago, but before I dive in, let me give you some background. I'm 24, still living with my parents. We've never had much, and almost every cent I earn goes to keeping us afloat. My relationship with my parents is rocky. We argue a lot. When I'm not at work or with friends, I mostly keep to myself. Fitness has always been my coping mechanism. It's my escape from the chaos at home and the weight of responsibilities. There's a park about 10 minutes from our house with calisthenic equipment, pull-up bars, dip bars, that sort of thing. In the summer, when it's sticky and warm, I go at night to avoid the crowds. One especially hot summer night, about 85 degrees, my parents were arguing again. Tired of the shouting, I left for a workout. I got into our battered Corolla, rolled down the windows, and let the hot breeze carry away my stress. I reached the park around 10:30. The lot was empty. Just how I liked it, the park, perched above the downtown skyline, felt peaceful even at night. I started my workout routine on the pull-up bar. I usually go until failure, rest a bit, and then repeat. But during a rest, something felt off. A chill crept up my spine, and I turned around. There, just a foot from my face, stood a tall, ragged man. I yelped and jumped back, startled. He let out a raspy laugh and quickly apologized, saying he didn't mean to frighten me. Still, something about him was off. His movements were strange, and his face looked battered. He claimed he lived nearby and had seen me around before. Suddenly, he asked if I could show him how to work out. I'm not the confrontational type, especially when caught off guard. I awkwardly replied I was just finishing up and would leave soon. I got back on the bar, but his words echoed. He saw me here all the time. I could feel his stare drilling into the back of my head. The moment that chilled me to the core. As I finished my last set, he quietly whispered my full name. I froze, jumped off the bar, and backed away slowly. "What did you just say?" I asked, my voice shaking. He didn't answer, just stared at me with that manic, wide-eyed grin. Panic settled in. Without another word, I bolted for my car. As I pulled away, I saw him in the rear view, trying and failing to mimic my pull-ups. The whole drive home, I kept questioning myself. Had I really heard him say my name? Or was I just imagining things? The next morning, I woke up for work. As I left the house, I saw a plain envelope on our doorstep. It was addressed to me. I tucked it away and decided to open it during my lunch break. When I finally did, what I found nearly made me vomit. There were 10 photographs of me. Photos taken without my knowledge. Me in my car, at work. Me exercising in the park. One was of my house. The worst was a photo of me asleep, taken through my bedroom window. My hands shook. I quickly photographed the envelope and its contents, then told my boss I had a personal emergency. I drove to the police station, handed over the evidence, and told them everything I knew about the man from the night before. The officers took me seriously. They said they'd open an investigation and try to identify him. I told my parents, and for the first time in a long while, they actually seemed concerned. But the nightmare didn't end there. A few nights later, at 3 in the morning, I woke to knocks on the front door. I stayed silent. Something told me not to move. Soon after, I discovered a sticky note on my car window, a crude heart drawn in black Sharpie. I returned to the police. They agreed to start a formal stalking investigation, but building a case like this is tough without solid evidence. It's been a month now. I'm constantly on edge. My parents are searching for a new place, but it's not easy with our finances. I don't know what's next. I watch every shadow, check every corner. Until this ends, if it ever does, I'll keep sleeping with one eye open. This happened to me last summer when I was 22. I wasn't the most social person. If I ever left the house, it was usually because my reckless friends pressured me into it. That night was one of those situations. My friend Philip invited me to a party around 8 p.m. It was a last-minute invite, but I had no plans, so I reluctantly agreed. Truthfully, even a party full of strangers sounded better than another night of isolation. Philip lived a few towns over, so we decided to drive separately. But just as I turned onto the party street, he bailed. I was furious. There I was, parked outside a stranger's house, wondering what to do. But after making the drive, I figured I might as well go inside. The host, Randy, greeted me at the door. Charismatic, friendly, and not overbearing, he made a strong first impression. He introduced me to everyone, and surprisingly, people were welcoming. I even spotted a few attractive girls. Feeling better, I decided to enjoy the night, and maybe drank more than I should have. Sometime around 2 a.m., feeling dizzy and overwhelmed, I went looking for a bathroom. They were all occupied. The house was bigger than it looked, and in my drunken haze, I wandered upstairs and got lost. Eventually, I found a door leading to what seemed like an attic. I needed space to breathe, so I went in. There were no lights, just dust and silence. I cracked open a window and the cool breeze washed over me. It helped. For a while, I stood there with my head leaning out, letting the night calm me down. But then I heard something, soft footsteps above me on the roof. Confused and curious, I climbed out onto the roof. In hindsight, this was a terrible idea, but I was drunk and not thinking clearly. In the moonlight, I saw two masked figures climbing out of another window, each carrying bags. It hit me. Randy's house was being robbed. I panicked. Should I yell? Confront them? What if they had weapons? As I shifted, my foot scuffed a shingle. Loudly, one of them snapped his head toward me, and we locked eyes. He nudged his partner, and they both began moving toward me. Adrenaline kicked in. I couldn't let them escape. I followed them across the roof from a distance. They headed to a sloped section, clearly their planned escape route. I reached for my phone to call 911, but, I fumbled it. The device clattered loudly, drawing more attention. "Who's there?" one hissed. I froze. Then I spotted a loose shingle, grabbed it, and threw it. I missed, but it startled them. One lost his footing, slipped, and fell off the roof into a gutter and then to the ground. The second one jumped into a tree and vanished. I ran to the edge and saw the fallen burglar groaning in pain. At that moment, sirens blared in the distance. Someone else must have called the cops. I stumbled back inside, down through the attic, and into the party. Everything was still in full swing. I found Randy and, quickly told him what happened. His expression shifted from amusement to horror. He called the police immediately. Apparently, a neighbor had already reported the party for noise, which brought the officers faster. I led them to the burglar, who was arrested on the spot. The other had escaped. The party ended abruptly. Lights flicked on, and guests started leaving. I tried my best to seem sober, but I was still stumbling. Randy couldn't thank me enough. I thought that would be the end of it. But, months later, while hanging out at Philip's place, he got a call from Randy. We were invited over for drinks. When we arrived, I immediately noticed changes. New doors, upgraded windows, everything looked reinforced. Randy took us to his basement, handed us beers, and thanked me again. Then he told us what had happened since. The captured burglar refused to name his partner and was now serving a long sentence. But shortly after his arrest, Randy's family started receiving threatening letters. Some included photos of them. One night, Randy's mom noticed a car circling the house at 1 in the morning. A few days later, his dad found things in their backyard disturbed. They upgraded their security immediately. More cameras, new locks, reinforced entry points. It was chilling to hear that this was still affecting Randy's family. I had no idea how deep it all went. With summer approaching again, I have a feeling I'll hear more soon. And maybe, Just maybe, that second burglar is still out there, watching.